Greetings and felicitations.
Hip, hip, hurrah. Tally-ho.
Hey, my little Georgia Peach.
Hey, Puddin'.
Okay, so for these episodes, we got up early in the morning again, had Lucky Charms, classic. I mean, do you love Lucky Charms? Have you always liked it? That was always one of my favorites.
Yes, it's a cereal I love because you get lucky when you eat it.
Okay, I don't know if that was the case in the mornings that we watched Lower Decks, but actually it's one of my favorite things about watching the show is having cereal with you. Let's talk about Cupid's Errant Arrow. What'd you think about this episode?
It was okay. I mean, this one I didn't hate as much, I guess.
This actually, out of the ones we've seen so far, this is probably my favorite.
Okay.
I think it had a pretty good storyline. It actually made sense in the Trek universe. Had quite a few Trek references that I enjoyed.
So we have Boimler. We find out he has a girlfriend. And then Mariner is suspicious because she thinks Boimler is too much of a loser to have a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we've been there before, but...
Pretty insulting to him.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it is. Well, the thing is, these two are always at odds, and she is his friend, and she kind of sees it like she wants to protect him. That's why she's checking the girlfriend for, parasites.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think, then, about that part?
You know how I think about her. I don't care for the character. I think she's annoying. But... I like the fact that it's adding depth to the relationship and background of these characters, seeing that Boimler does have a life outside of the Cerritos.
Exactly, and they still get to go out and meet people. Like he met this lieutenant that's on another ship, the USS Vancouver. And what about the nudity? Which we knew it was going to happen because they showed it in one of the trailers before the series came out.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually funny the way they used it.
It was
because
the black box.
Yeah, I mean, and having to censor it the way they did too.
Yeah.
I mean, it fit the context of this story.
Mm-hmm. And my favorite aspects of the show are all the Easter eggs and references to other Trek.
So what have we got for Easter eggs?
Well, this is the episode that it showed her Mariner with a bulletin board with a bunch of strings with different pictures on it, right?
And all those pictures.
Oh, yeah. It was great to look at that, to pause the screen, and we see the salt vampire. We see the whale that was in Star Trek 4.
But all those pictures, yes, there was things that we recognized.
Like the Suluban. I believe that was the Suluban in the left-hand corner.
Yes.
So that was fun.
I mean, that was cool, yeah, because you're always looking at this show for things that you're familiar with in Star Trek, and they always have these familiar aliens walking in the background, and it's always fun to spot those. Now actually some people call that a problem because they're like, if you're not as familiar with Star Trek, you think the show is only built on the shows that came before it.
I mean, that's how every franchise now that is at the 30, 40, 50-year mark has to make references to keep the old fan base watching. So Star Trek's didn't invent this. We know other ones that we've been watching for years have these little Easter eggs too, and they tend to do even more so, deeper Easter eggs within the toy community and the comic book community. I'm looking for Star Trek to go that route.
If other shows have more Easter eggs, I guess I wouldn't notice because I'm not as deep into anything else as Star Trek.
Yeah, but when we watch Rebels,
yes,
and all the Star Wars ones, we see
yes.
so many references to there, and they go deep. They go into the action figures. They go into the comic world. And so I'm hoping that Star Trek does that too because, we collect the toys. We read the comic books. We read the novels. I would love for Trek to do that. Don't think they will, though.
It would be cute. Well, okay, so with the cartoon though, so this show does have things for new fans. I mean that because it is it's the first comedy. So I think there's plenty there for the non-established fans to like it because you have to, if you like that type of show, which, and because we are established fans, we're not as into that type of humor, but this episode was better for us.
And also, you made mention of those little units that were
the T-88.
T-88s. Now, when I go to work, I have to get my forehead thermostat taken? The
temperature, yes.
Temperature, and that's what it looks like. They put this little blue ray next to my forehead, and it looks like the T-88.
Oh, neat. The little thermometer. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the T-88s were actually, so it was a scanning device? Yeah, mm-hmm. So it could take your temperature too. I thought it looked like a phaser, really.
It kind of did, where you felt it should have looked more like a tricorder.
Right, it should be more like a box tricorder because mm-hmm. it's a type of scanner. But okay, I guess they're trying to be original. And that storyline was good where they had the guy, Lieutenant Commander Docent, who actually didn't like being on that ship. He wanted to transfer to the Cerritos because mm-hmm. there's so much pressure on him because he's on this great ship with this reputation and so much to uphold.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other aspect. I think there is some reality to it in the real world. There's some people that work for these major corporations, and after a while when the corporations get too big, some people back away and say, you know what, I want to go back to my roots. I want to get something that I'm not constantly in the limelight. I'm not constantly trying to uphold these ridiculous standards. Let me get something that I'm comfortable with. And so I saw where he was coming from. I actually liked that character and how he portrayed himself.
I mean, it has to be stressful being there all the time.
Now, this is the episode with the reference to a Kirk Sunday with Trip Sprinkles. That was funny.
That was so funny. Yeah,
that actually was a great reference.
Kirk and Trip. I don't think anybody ever put those two together before in a sentence.
Another Easter egg, Rompers on the Grass, TNG episode.
Yes. Oh, yes. The episode. But I know what you. Justice. Justice was the episode with Wesley Crusher. Yes.
And on the Star Trek cruise, there were people jumping around in rompers like that, which makes it funny. It was such a memorable episode because of visual aesthetics. So I like that they're working this in.
Now, what about when Boimler tried to dress and he said for the computer to make him everything that's cool all at once? We know when he's trying to impress the girl.
We're trying to figure out the references, and I didn't see any references that I would notice.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of the things he wore. I mean, it was some kind of 80s, 90s hodgepodge.
Just general, though. It's not like they had half a beaded jacket and...
Yeah, which would have been neat. He should have done, a combination of Mr. T and Michael Jackson and Terminator or something.
Yeah. So, okay. It is what it is. We didn't catch anything out of that.
They throw in these little things and it just makes it a lot more fun.
Again, I'm going to keep lauding praise on the aesthetics of the exterior ships. The glow of the nacelles, how they make the design of the ships. And we just found out recently that the USS Cerritos, the reason why it was named that is because the show's creator, he's from Chicago, but when he moved to California, on the way to work, he would hear these commercials advertising a auto store, a dealer that was in Cerritos. And so he said, wow, this is kind of an area that nobody really knows about, and it's in California. It's a California-class ships. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to name this ship after this auto dealer in Cerritos, California.
That was funny.
Yeah. So that's even Easter eggs behind the scenes. I'm always curious why things are named the way they are, how things designed the way they are. And that was pretty neat, cool.
And the show calls it the California class. Mm-hmm. So all the ships are going to be named after cities in California.
And the shuttles after areas or national parks.
Yes.
In California. So it's cool looking for that stuff.
Vern, timing is very important. And that's why you should buy your car at Cerritos Auto Square during the last 10 days of the month. They're way overstocked. All 15 dealers are under pressure. They've got to lower their prices. Meet their quotas. They're just a bunch of wimps. Now's the time to strike at the soft underbelly of Cerritos Auto Square. What about the salesman? Don't worry about the salesman. Any one of us get with a salesman during the last 10 days at Cerritos Auto Square? Know what I mean?
Terminal Provocations.
Okay, what did you think about this episode?
I liked it. I thought it was good, actually. But you didn't like it as much.
Didn't care for it. I thought the swipe of Clippy was just a little bit too ridiculous for me.
I thought it was a neat idea to have that, to have Badgie, to have an idea of something that a computer aid that helps you that's based on Clippy. Now when Clippy came out, I mean, I really didn't use it that much. I was in the camp that thought it was annoying, so I just never really
keep popping up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the episode, the premise.
So you've got Badgie. Well, you've got Rutherford and Tindy. He just wants to show off this new computer program. So he brings up Badgie to help her with her spacewalking. And then you've got the Drugmani, the other alien race that's trying to scavenge Starfleet parts. And then you've got Fletcher, who is another guy in the lower decks of the ship that's friends with Boimler and Mariner. Mm-hmm. But Fletcher is a really bumbling idiot, the way Boimler has always been on this show. Mm-hmm. With Fletcher, I mean, like, it does seem kind of like, doesn't he seem redundant? Because Boimler's the one that's always been the knockoff, the one who's klutzy, and now we've got Fletcher, who is the one who's klutzy.
Yeah, everything here tends to be extreme personality types with no repeats. That's what we've seen so far.
And I guess that's the point of having this type of cartoon. You have these characters that are so extreme. Mm-hmm. And some people find it funny. I mean, I thought the Badgie part was funnier, but and the part about Fletcher wanting to hook his brain up to the isolinear core, that was weird because there's never been any hint in Star Trek of someone doing like something like that to make them smarter. Mm-hmm. He thought he could get smarter by doing that. That just shows how dumb he was to begin with, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this episode didn't gel so much with me, so I'll let you do the bulk of the talking.
Well, I mean, so for the part with Badgie, I mean, of course, what really bugs me was that they did another holodeck malfunction. How many times does that have to happen on Star Trek?
Yeah.
I mean, and even going back to Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager, doesn't it seem like they would have thrown out the holodeck by now?
But I'm saying this show, the tropes are just so repetitive.
Some of them are, but there was some, like, how about when they mentioned the Titan, and we know that Riker's the commander of that ship?
Again, an Easter egg. I love that.
Yeah, you love the Easter eggs, yeah.
Now, they did mention that in one of the movies, but we're more familiar with it from the novels.
Yes, well,
they're a great series of novels.
It is. I mean, it still came from the movie Nemesis, where they said that Riker got command of the Titan. So then the novels had a whole series of the Titan with Riker in command. And yes, they're great novels. So I love that they mentioned that. And the fact that Fletcher got transferred to the Titan and couldn't cut it there, so he got fired, as he said. And we would like we're so glad that that he's a bungling idiot and he got what he deserved. But saying the word fired, I mean, that's not really what Starfleet does, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, like
I'd say transfer.
Yeah, transfer. Well, you get bumped down a rank, you get reprimanded, things like that, and court-martialed even.
Now, this is something they've opened the doorway to the Titan. That's something that I would hope they would open up the door to having. Let's have people go on the Titan, because we know by reading the books, the Titan has all different areas of atmospheres. They have an aquatic level. They have more that they can do visually with an animated series with the Titan that they could only do with the book series. And God, I would love that.
They do have that, but the thing is, that's just in the books. I mean, that's not canon. If they brought the Titan on this show, it might be completely different from that.
That's true. They might break the world that we love so much. All these novels, yeah.
And the fact that when Riker was on Picard, they didn't mention the Titan, even though I know he had retired at that time and all. Correct. But they could have said that he used to command the Titan.
Yeah, but again, the Titan, the TV series, the CBS series. They forget a lot of things. They forget the remans. Like, they just don't mention a lot of things.
Yeah.
I guess they just want it to go away. I don't know. Or it could be an alternate timeline, like we've been saying.
Could be. So, and J.G. Hertzler was on this.
Oh, that was great. I knew his voice right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, like, so they're able to get these great Star Trek guests. And we also heard that Q was going to be on on the show later, but he was mentioned in this episode, and that was pretty neat. And I think Q could do well on this show because he kind of fits the atmosphere, the vibe of this show. So it could work with Q on it.
Yes.
And about Badgie, I think he was cute, and I think maybe they made him on this show just to have something they could market if they ever decide to market anything. Badgie could be like a plush toy or something.
Well, they're doing a horrible job in marketing.
I know. I'm not even
a big fan of the show, but if it's Star Trek, I'll buy it. I'll buy something. Like, what is so hard about marketing these things? Every time we go to the store, we see DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Minecraft. How hard is it to make some Lower Decks items? I figured this would be the easy selling point.
It should be, except that, I mean, well, even though the show isn't really made for kids, and you can make like plush toys for kids, but yeah,
I
they
see
can
Rick and
market
Morty
it.
stuff a lot.
Yeah. Marketed to kids or what?
Just marketed.
Well, yeah.
You could buy
Rick
and Morty t-shirts. I never see Lower Deck t-shirts. I mean, it's really not that hard to slap a logo on a shirt. So, who knows? I don't understand their mentality of not producing things that we can buy. But time will tell.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the Force be with you. Nanu Nanu.